Well, AJ, speaking of TV, I thought we could, last week we kind of ran like, the big movies that are coming out in 2024. So I found a list of anticipated 2024 TV shows. Now, I will say this is not a complete list. It's hard finding a good TV list because you either get those lists that list like everything, like The Bachelor season 72 or whatever. Like, I didn't want to get a list like that and just go through like a bunch of nonsense. And then you
Right.
also get lists that are maybe just too sparing. Now, the problem with this list, I will say that like there's shows on here that have already been like delayed and like um to 2020. Like there's one on here that I know isn't coming out next year, and there's a few others that like I'm pretty sure aren't either. But it at least puts some stuff on our radar, and we can go through and see if we're excited for these or not.
Yeah.
So this first one, I might wait on reviews, but I've seen a trailer for it, and it does look like it'd be up my alley, which is True Detective season 4. Now, AJ, I don't know about you. I've only watched True Detective season 1, uh, which was the season with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, which I thought was fantastic. And then I remember season 2 came out, and everyone said, "Oh, this is terrible." So I never watched that one. And then a
Right.
season 3 came out, and people were like, "It's okay, but it's no season 1." Um,
hmm I never saw season. I never haven't seen it at all.
oh,
But
you haven't seen
I
it
did
all?
hear really good things about season one.
Yeah, I highly recommend season 1. It's really good, and it's the show that like everyone said like, "Oh my God, Matthew McConaughey, can actually be a good actor," and the whole McConaissance thing.
Okay.
I will say though, it seems like he's made some real trash since the McConaissance. So I don't know if that was a forever thing, um,
Right.
but it says the anthology crime series that kicked off with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey in the Deep South now heads north to the inhospitable terrain of Alaska. This new series stars Jodie Foster as a detective on the hunt for a serial killer. What's scarier than a villain who operates in almost perpetual nighttime? Think blood-soaked snow patches and grumbly, monotone police officers who've seen too much stuff in their lifetime. So I just like that it seems to be in because like I remember season 3, even though I didn't watch it, it was like set in the a period piece, I think, set in the past. This one looks more contemporary again, but I like a good cat and mouse serial killer like thing, and Jodie Foster's really good. I saw a trailer for this; it looks good, and so as long as it doesn't get like season 2 type of reviews, like
Right.
I'm in for it. This one here doesn't appeal to me, but I'll read the description, see what you think. Masters of the Air. Um, are you in search of every buzzy actor in the biz right now? Look no further than Masters of the Air, which boasts a cast that includes Austin Butler, Barry Keoghan, Nakuti Gatwa, Callum Turner, and Jude Law.
I
Are
only know one of those actors.
I know a couple of them, but yeah, it's not exactly a who's who. The series takes to the skies as it follows a 100th Bombardment Group of the U.S. Army Air Force during the Second World War. It's a companion series to Band of Brothers, another equally stacked series full of then up and coming superstars. Yeah, for me, this doesn't do anything for me. Like the war genre just kind of puts me to sleep. It always has. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not my thing.
Ever since I learned that like the military has to okay every project that Hollywood does, like there's so much military propaganda. I'm like overly wary of it now. I'm just like I veer away from that stuff now. I'm like I don't like being told what to think.
Is that true in this day and age? I would think,
Yeah, the
Hollywood could.
military still has offices like in Hollywood. Like everybody has, they have to sign off on every project. From what I've heard.
Really, that's interesting. Like, I could
Yeah,
maybe see them being like, "Oh, if you somehow put government secrets in this movie, like we need to know," you know. But
it's like a culture thing. Like things have to fit a certain like cultural narrative.
yeah, I mean, I feel like there have been movies made that are like more skeptical of the military, but like I don't know. There are a lot of just like rah rah,
Yeah.
good. We're the good guys always. The next one, this one I'm kind of curious about, even though I don't know much about it, but it is in the realm of sci-fi, which I like. It's called the three body problem, from which I understand is based on a best-selling book.
Hmm.
So David Benioff and DB Weiss have left the
Oh
rudimentary.
no!
Yeah, it's them.
Oh no! It's such a good book too. Oh
Have you
no!
actually read the book?
I've only seen like the breakdowns of the book,
Oh,
like
okay.
by this guy Quinn's Ideas. He's got a YouTube channel, and I think it's called the Three Body Paradox or something. I'm not sure.
Well, this says the three body problem, but maybe the book
Maybe it's
was.
a problem. Yeah, it might be a problem then. But by Six and Lou, I think.
But you know what? Like, even though Game of Thrones, I will agree, kind of faltered in the end. That last season was disappointing. There was enough good stuff within Game of Thrones that I'm just not like ready to totally write these guys off. You know what I mean?
I mean, I get it. They're good when they have source material. You know, like when they have the actual books to look at. You know, and I'm maybe that's what this is. Like maybe he's written all the works. I don't know if he's done yet. I don't know all about that, but I mean, as long as they stick very close to the source material, I think they have a chance of making a good show. But if they start coming up with their own ideas, that's where I get really skeptical.
That's a good point. If this book series is already completed, like they have a better chance then, I guess, of not having to make up stuff and like.
Yeah.
So yeah, that might actually help. But yeah, it says Benioff and Weiss left the tools of Westeros behind and have entered into the science fiction game with this adaptation of the best-selling novel of the same name. So maybe it's just one novel, and if that's the case, like yeah,
Okay.
they should be good to go. It
Hmm.
follows an astrophysicist who, after seeing her father brutally murdered during the Chinese Cultural Revolution, is conscripted by the military, sent to a secret radar base in a remote region of the country. There, decisions she makes in the 1960s ripple through time. So popular is this property that it's also had an unrelated Chinese adaptation released. So yeah, I'm a sci-fi into sci-fi, so I'm definitely interested in this. Okay, this next one I'm not going to read because it's Daredevil Born Again, which has already been announced that it's not going to see the light of day until 2025, I believe. So
Oh wow.
now they don't have Echoes on this list or Echo on this list of most anticipated.
Well, so I don't know anything about Echo. I don't really care about Echo, but I've been seeing like reviews for it already online.
Yeah, and like I saw a headline. I didn't like listen to any of the reviews, but like it made it
No,
look like it was getting like decent reviews by people who had advanced access to it. So,
I'm still not gonna watch it.
oh, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm
Are you?
100%.
You watch it for the show?
I mean, it's up to you, but yeah, I would review it if you want to. But I'm definitely gonna watch it for sure. This next one actually makes me curious to go back and watch. So this one is called The Night Manager Season 2, which I remember vaguely knowing about uh, the Night Manager Season 1 when it came out years ago, but like I never really looked into it at all. But so it says the world fell to its knees when the first season of The Night Manager hit our screens in 2016. Well, I don't know if that's true. Um, Introducing us to Tom Hiddleston's former military officer Jonathan Pine. Based on the John Le Carre novel, it was a slick and sexy spy offering, and one we thought we'd left back in the 2010s. However, it was announced this year that not only will the Night Manager be back, but Hiddleston will be returning too. There's no word yet on where this espionage caper will take us. Um, so yeah, I might go back and actually watch the Night Manager season 1 because I do like Tom Hiddleston, and like the spy genre can be hit and miss, but there's certainly spy movies and things that I've watched that I've enjoyed. So I don't know, it kind of appeals to me. So maybe I'll watch season 1, and if I like it, I'll check out this season 2. What do you think?
I never heard of the first season. I don't never heard of the show, but I don't know spy stuff. Just maybe I'm in a phase, but I'm not really interested in that right now. I guess.
Okay. Um, this one I'm definitely going to watch if it comes out this year, but who knows? But it's the Penguin. So the Batman, the Robert Pattinson movie, of course, Colin Farrell played the Bat or the Penguin in that movie, and now he's going to get his own series on Max. So it says Colin Farrell is packing himself back into the prosthetics to re-inhabit his role as Gotham's greatest crime lord from 2022's The Batman. Landing on Max, the series will explore Oswald Cobblepot's rise to the echelons of the city's criminal underworld and consists of 8 episodes. Not much is known about the series yet, but that's just the way the shadows of organized crime works. So yeah, I'm definitely interested. I liked Colin Farrell in that movie, even though he's almost unrecognizable in all the makeup and stuff. But yeah, I would definitely be up for reviewing this on the show. What about you?
Yeah, I'd be up for it. I'm not super excited about it just because DC hasn't. I don't. I'm not super excited about DC right now. I just haven't seen a lot of good stuff coming out of them.
Did you
Um,
like the Batman?
it was okay, but I think they just. It's so dark and gritty all the time. Like, I know it doesn't have to be like Thor: Love and Thunder or anything like that, but I mean, it could be more in tune with what the world's really like. There's ups and downs, there's good and bad. Like there's funny and unfunny and serious. Like it could be a little bit of both. I think.
I will say though, I kind of like that this series is and the Batman is really dark and gritty because I kind of suspect that the Batman movie they're going to make in the James Gunn universe,
Mhm.
where he's going to have Batman and then Damian, his son. I think that
Okay.
probably is going to be somewhat of a lighter tone, so that since we're already getting that one, I'm like, yeah, go ahead and make the Pattinson one dark and gloomy and messed up. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So that we
So
can
it's
get
gonna be a
both
different
those.
Batman. It's not gonna be Pattinson in that movie, or is it
No,
gonna be?
no, it's going to be different.
Jeez, man, like so many different Batman too. Like I do like Marvel's cohesiveness, like their storytelling compared to DC's, because DC's is like they have so many different Batman movies, man. It's like I wish it was one universe.
Uh, I have mixed feelings about. I think the reason they did that was because they already had this Pattinson series going, and I think it was going to be hard to kind of shape that into what James Gunn wanted to do. And then also the Joker movie, the first one did very well, and they're making that second one, which we talked about last week. And so I think they were just like, okay, we're going to have like branding of like Elseworld things that aren't in the James Gunn universe. And like, I think I'm okay with it because it lets them do more interesting stuff outside of the. I think you do risk confusing general audiences for sure. That's
Yeah,
what I worry about.
especially like the people who aren't like hardcore fans and stuff.
But I don't think there's going to be too many of these Elseworlds series, just because I think they're going to have to commit so many resources just to the shows and movies they announce that are in the James Gunn kind of universe that I don't think they're going to want to commit a bunch of like I think they'll have that Joker sequel and they'll see how that does. And I think they probably have a trilogy of these Pattinson movies in mind. But I would kind of be surprised if they do any other kind of Elseworld, not in the James Gunn universe type of things. So I don't think it's going to be a big issue. Um, okay, this next one I have not heard about. It's called The Sympathizer. It says if there's one thing that Marvel's aughts culture takeover taught us is that if you have Robert Downey Jr., you better make the most of him. In The Sympathizer, he plays a master of disguise, inhabiting all the characters that make up a vague notion of the man in this story about a Viet Cong spy infiltrating the South Vietnamese community in the 1970s Los Angeles. Directed by legendary South Korean auteur Park Chan Wook, The series has been described as part thriller and part satire. Now, I really like Robert Downey Jr., but like this like description, like is he going to be disguising himself as like a Vietnamese man? Because that sounds like
He's doing
something.
every race, man. He's doing every race. I think there was a movie where he pretended to be a. Oh, so first there was Tropic
Tropic
Thunder.
Thunder, yeah.
I think there was another movie where he pretended to be a Mexican guy, and I don't know how that went over. And now he's is he doing Vietnamese face?
I don't know. Well, he's a master of disguise. That would be funny. Like every episode, he's a different race. I don't know. It sounds interesting still. If I see a trailer on that one and it looks interesting, I might check it out.
Hmm.
So the next one is called Rivals. Um, Dust off your jodhpurs. I got to say, this is like a British article, so they have references here. I don't know what they're talking about.
It sounds like a type of shoe.
And unlock your memory box of saucy puns because Jilly Cooper is getting a renaissance in 2024 with an adaptation of her bestseller Rivals, part of the Rutshire Chronicles, which follows the horsey elite of 1980s
Well,
Britain.
man, we need to go back and teach the British how to talk, man. What is going on with this?
This is a mess. The story follows a rivalry between TV channel executives. What? The series will star David Tennant, Aidan Turner, and Danny Dyer. Expect sex, power struggles, and a fair few ripped riding coats. No, thank you.
Oh,
I don't know what this is, but no, thank you.
like, if they had TVs in the Victorian age, this show would be a hit. But yeah, I don't know.
Ooh, this next one, AJ. I have not heard anything about this, so I'm very dubious that it will actually be coming out in 2024. But I'm interested because, as I mentioned, I think last week, I really liked Blade Runner 2049, the movie. Well, apparently, there's going to be a TV series, Blade Runner 2099. There isn't much Blade Runner 2099 news out there, just that it's happening, and Ridley Scott is steering the ship. While Blade Runner 2049 partially set up options for a follow up, a movie sequel was never greenlit. Instead, the next story, set 50 years on from our last outing in the world of replicants and humans, will land on Prime Video at some point in the future. Yeah, that excites me. I'm not a big fan of the original Blade Runner, but I love Blade Runner 2049, and I kind of like the whole like cyberpunk aesthetic. So like, I'm definitely will give that a shot. What about you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't seen 2049 yet, so I'll definitely have to check that out. But yeah, sounds good.
Well, even the article doesn't think this next one's coming out in 2024, but I'll mention it. The Devil in the White City. In what possibly might be the most cursed TV property of all time, it's unlikely that The Devil in the White City will actually hit our screens in 2024, what with having no director or lead star anymore. However, we remain hopeful, if only because it's a prospect that seems to have 9 lives. As the production baby of Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio, this series, which is about Chicago against the backdrop of the World's Fair and the notorious serial killer H.H. Holmes, lost Keanu Reeves as its lead star and Todd Field as its helm. Right now, it's in limbo, but you can't kill this one that easily. So, I mean, it seems like this is in development hell. But even if it happens, I don't know that it sounds all that appealing to me.
Yeah, no.
Um, I don't know. I gotta say, like, there is a lot like of Martin Scorsese movies that I haven't seen. In fact, I'd say there's more of his movies that I haven't seen than I have. But that's because like he's usually obsessed with like mobster type stuff, and that's a
Yeah.
genre that I've just never been into. Now, this doesn't necessarily like say gangster stuff, but uh, I don't know. It's still just the description doesn't really do that much for me. I do sometimes serial killer stories can be interesting, but I don't even know if that's the main focus of this story. So I don't know. Probably not for
No,
me.
I said it was a phase earlier, but I never really liked spy stuff. I never really liked, all that hoorah stuff. But I always liked mafia stuff, and I love The Godfather. So I'm definitely a little partial to some of his work. So maybe, who knows.
So you might be in for it. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I have so many like huge like blind spots of like movies just because like mob like I for example, I've never seen the Godfather movies and I don't know, I have a hard time getting excited about them. I did see Goodfellas and I was like, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, Goodfellas is not bad.
But
You think that was okay?
it's fine. It's not something I would watch twice, but it's,
Okay.
and I watched because it was on Netflix. He had that movie, The Irishman, a couple years ago. That I was pretty
I didn't
bored.
see that, but I heard great things about it.
I was pretty bored by it, but
Okay.
you might get more mileage out of it.
Mhm.
What actually one movie of his I did watch because it wasn't a mobster movie was that oh now I'm blanking on the name. It's like a kid that lives in like a train station and like it's all about like the joy of like movies and stuff. Hugo,
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
which I remember liking that movie. So
Mm.
okay, this next one I don't know how I feel about it. I might check it out. So Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. Based on the hugely popular animated series of the same name, this Netflix live action series seeks to right the wrongs of the famously terrible Avatar: The Last Airbender film that we got back in 2010. The show follows a war torn world where people can bend the elements. Aang, the last known airbender, has to keep order in the fragile world and fend off plans for a total takeover. It will star Daniel Day Kim and a whole host of newcomers. So, uh, Lester like really loves the animated series of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Mhm.
Years ago, I watched the first episode and I was kind of bored by it, so I never went and watched more. But a part of me thinks that I should because I've heard nothing but people rant and rave about that
Yeah.
cartoon and how good it is. So
Yeah.
like a part of me is like, well, should I try watching the animated series or should I maybe just wait for this to come out and watch this? What do you think? Will you be into this?
I've never seen it. I've heard great things. Um, I'm interested in it for sure. I definitely think I might want to go back and watch it, especially if the show's any good. Um, the movie really turned me off to it. It is a good thing that they're actually hiring Asian people to play Asian people. That's an amazing tactic that they're going with.
Go woke, go broke,
Something,
AJ.
yeah. I mean, they normally don't do that, so this is a change.
I
So I
feel
mean,
like,
yeah,
to be fair, like I feel like in the last few years, Hollywood has like been pretty good about diversity in casting.
they are now. But if what changed the last few years? Like, what's the difference between now and like 10 years ago? Like, I don't know what happened. Like, did China like put their foot? I don't know what happened. The demographics like slowly are changing, but I don't know. It's weird, but it's good. It's a good thing, I guess. So I'm glad they're doing at least that much. I'll wait for the reviews to come in, though. I'm not sure after M Night Shyamalan's version of Avatar. Uh I'm not too excited about the franchise.
My understanding is Robert Downey Jr. is playing the little boy. Okay, this will be a big show that I imagine a lot of people watch. Stranger Things season 5. There's a distinct possibility that the young cast of Stranger Things will be pushing 20 while still playing teenagers in the final outing for the Hawkins gang. But such is life. After Big Daddy Vecna unleashed the Upside Down on Hawkins, causing a massive earthquake that killed a lot of people, the last series of Stranger Things closed on a cliffhanger. How, everyone asked, are this scrappy bunch going to get out of it this time? There's still some time to wait before season 5 hits our screens, but seeing as it's the final outing, it's sure to pack an emotional payoff. I mean, I've watched it up till now. I'm definitely going to watch the final seasons of Stranger Things. Um, I don't think like I wouldn't call myself like I definitely don't get excited for Stranger Things that I see a lot of people online do. But I like it. I think
Yeah.
it's a solid show, and I'm definitely up for watching more of it.
I could take it or leave it. I probably won't watch it to be honest, but
Really,
yeah, I'm sick of Netflix, man. Like, there's nothing on there. I'm not gonna get one show. I'm not too excited about it.
But you don't think when you hear everybody talking about it nonstop, it'll make you go like, "Oh, fine, I'll watch it just to see what the big deal is."
Nah.
No, I do remember thinking after I saw the very first season of Stranger Things, which I think is probably still the strongest season of the show, that like
Yeah.
it kind of would have been cool if it was an anthology show and like that was just that season, like, and then like if they did it again, maybe it would be an anthology like show set in either like the '90s or more contemporary. They could just tell all these
Yeah.
like you know similarly themed. Like I get why they didn't. Like that cast is really good and everything, but and I to be fair, I've enjoyed the show throughout, so I shouldn't complain too
Mhm.
much. But part of me thinks that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Um, ooh, AJ, I know you and your sister will be excited for this one. Me, not so much. Bridgerton season 3.
Oh,
Um,
I don't watch Bridgerton, but she loves Bridgerton. I'm surprised it's coming back for a third season, man. Like, people are watching that? I thought it was just her.
I think it's actually a big show for Netflix. Uh,
Okay,
prepare
get
for
it.
more. Prepare for more bodices to be ripped. Um, Oh, they just refer to the British apparently just refer to it as the ton. The ton will be a buzz once the new season of Bridgerton
We're
hits our
learning a
screens.
lot of Britishisms today, man.
AJ, this season focuses on the love story between Penelope, Lady Whistledown, in case you didn't know, and
Lady
Colin.
whistle down.
After insulting her to the rest of the lads in the final episode of the last season, it's going to take some hard graft to get Colin back in the good books. Expect much of the same dresses, balls, vague ideas of Regency England, and settle in for the sauciest show on the telly. Now, does that get you excited or does that get you excited?
Man, I mean, I don't want to sound like a typical like, toxic male or anything, but that show's made for the women, right? That's what it is. That's not made for the guys, I think.
Yeah, I don't
More
think so.
power to you if you're a guy watching it, but I think it's mostly targeted towards women.
Yeah, that's a
Balls and
definitely
stuff.
a chick show. Okay, this next one, just like Stranger Things, this fits into a realm of a show that I will watch, a show that I liked the first season of, but I don't think I was into it as the rest of the world. Squid Game season 2. The
Never
big.
seen it.
Oh, really? Um,
Yeah.
I think it's worth watching. I liked it. The biggest show that Netflix ever released is, of course, getting a second series. How couldn't it? It's a good thing the first series about a deadly game inflicted on the most debt-ridden people in society ended on a cliffhanger. After taking home the massive winnings, Ji Hoon has his sights set on the game masters who want nothing more than to keep him quiet so they can keep playing their evil games. Season 2 looks set to crack the whole thing wide open, but we still have to wait for some time before a release date is delivered. So yeah, who knows if it'll actually come out this year? But man, AJ, I'm actually surprised you didn't see this show. It seemed like everybody saw it at the time.
Everybody saw it. My sister watched it. Everybody watched it. I'm one of those people, like, I don't know why, but I can't watch a show while it's like in its prime, it feels like. I can't do it. Then I gotta discover it later on my own for some reason. You
I
can't lead this horse to water. Yeah. Can't make me drink it.
You're one of those hipsters that doesn't like anything that's too popular. No, but uh, no, I kind of get that because sometimes if you're not watching a show as it happens and it gets just like so much buzz like that show gets, then you're just like, there is something about it where you feel I don't know why that happens. You would think it would excite you more to watch it, like, oh, everybody says this is great, but it almost feels like then you're like feel like you're burdened to have to watch it almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I get that, but I can confidently say that it is a good show if you ever get around to it.
Hmm.
Um, Also on the Netflix train, Wednesday season 2. The moodiest girl in the world will be back for round 2. Wednesday's first season broke Stranger Things season 4 viewing records at lightning speed, so it's only natural the Addams Family spinoff will be back for more. Jenna Ortega's take on the Solon siblings sees her at Nevermore Academy, a boarding school for outcasts. After fending off a literal beast in season 1, there are plenty more monstrous and familial battles in store for round 2. Now, AJ, since Wednesday season 1 was so popular, did you watch it?
My sister watched it. I watched a little bit of it with her, but I didn't think it was that great. Man, it's starting to sound like we're gonna get Netflix again pretty soon with Bridgerton and Wednesday, though. I think my sister's gonna make us get it, but
That'll make her cave, yeah.
yeah,
And Squid Games, maybe.
yeah, she watched that too. But yeah, I mean Wednesday once again. I don't. I think it might be mostly towards the women, like from what I saw. I don't know, but
You know,
yeah, it's
I'll say,
fine.
I did watch it. I it was a it was a cute show. It's enjoyable enough. It's a different take on the Adams family.
Mhm.
Um, again, like I don't necessarily understand why it broke so many streaming records necessarily. Like I think there's better shows on Netflix, but I thought it was a cute show and like it kind of almost has that Harry Potter feel because she's going to this like weird school with kids that can do all these like weird things. So
Yeah.
it's got that kind of thing going for it. I think maybe it just appealed to both like old fans of the Adams family characters as well as like teenagers and little kids. I think it's definitely like a what they would call like a four quadrant show. So maybe that's why it did so well.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
I kind of wonder because like apparently um, Warner Brothers is supposedly going to make a Harry Potter TV show that I think is meant to be able to do like more of the stuff that was in the books than the movies were able to. But my thing is like kids grow so quickly that just like with Stranger Things, like I think if they don't really do a lot of pre-production and like really churn out the seasons of a Harry Potter show, like the kids are going to get too old looking. They're going to run into that problem again. So like,
Yeah. Man, I know who they're targeting with Harry Potter. I watched Harry Potter. I couldn't wait for it to be done by like the sixth movie. I was like, that sixth movie was so bad. I don't want to watch anything on the franchise. I didn't care. I was I want to throw up after hearing about Harry Potter now. Like it's just too much. Like I've had enough. It's like overeating certain foods for so long that you're just like I don't want to see it again now. And God, that sixth movie was so bad. They shoehorned it, like they forced us to watch that two-part sixth and seventh, I think. And it was bad. I hated it. After that, I just hated the whole franchise.
I like the movies decently. I will say I do think it was a mistake for them to split that up like they did. And like, yeah, I agree that part one of those last two movies is like the weakest movie in the whole series, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, but overall, I like the series decently. My thing though is like, if they're gonna do a TV series, I would rather them do it with like a whole different cast of characters. Like because of the movies, like yeah, I'm sure there's things in the books that I don't know about, but like I know the basics of that story. I would rather see like a totally different kids group of kids like going to Hogwarts and like tell that story rather than just repeat the Harry Potter story again.
There's no way they could do it with Radcliffe and them for sure, right? Like they're gonna
Oh
de-age them or something.
no, and I mean unless they wanted to do a thing to where like they're now teachers in the school or something, and there's the
Parents or something,
Saved
yeah.
by the Bell, the new kids or whatever, the new class.
Yeah.
um, Next on this list is a show I don't care about, but it's a show I've heard of, but like You season 5.
I've
Uh,
actually seen this show.
oh, you have? Okay.
Season one
So it says
and
hello.
two.
Okay, so after I'll see what you think of this. So it says hello you again and again and again and again. You just can't get rid of Joe Goldberg. Stalkers are like that after all. Coming back with one final season, season 5 of You, the series about a stalker slash hopeless romantic slash murderer slash book enthusiast will land back where it all started in New York City. Joe is happily settled down with Kate, who knows most of his dirty little secrets, but homecomings always entail a few reunions. According to Netflix, the familiar face is back to haunt Joe, and with the mammoth list of victims left in his wake, the Avenger could be anyone's guess. Okay, so give me the basic rundown of what this show is.
From what I've seen, this guy's just like a psychotic boyfriend. Like he obsesses over girls. Um, he commits murder pretty easily. Like, if somebody's in the way of him getting with that girl, uh, he'll kill them. And he's always getting himself in a situation where like his his whole plot like unfoils. Like somebody's gonna figure out he did this or this happened earlier, and he's lying about this. He's always he's masquerading all the time. So like he's trying to keep up this lie, and that ends up biting him in the ass. So he has to eliminate whoever can unravel his lies. And yeah, that's mostly what I've seen from seasons 1 and 2. And season 2 was not that strong, and I heard season 3 was even worse. So I'm surprised it's still going. I mean,
So it's on
Netflix
the
usually gets rid of a show pretty quickly, I thought. So
it's on the downslope. Well, that's the last season, so I guess they finally ran out of ideas.
yeah.
And then lastly on this list is another show I'm pretty skeptical will come out in 2024, but whenever it comes out, I'll be interested in it. A new Star Wars series called The Acolyte. You might need your own separate Rolodex for the number of Star Wars shows to keep track of. Acolyte will hit our screens next year, and we'll see. Set in the High Republic era before the events of the main Star Wars films, part crime procedural, part space quest, the series will track the emerging dark powers of the galaxy with an ominous understanding of what's to come. It will star The Good Place's Manny Jacinto, Squid Games Lee Jung Jae, and Amandla Sternberg. I'm not really familiar with. Well, I guess I kind of know some of those actors, um, but yeah, it's what I like about it is it takes place in a time period that I don't think much has been done with in Star Wars, except maybe in some comics and like outside material. But um, it definitely sounds interesting, and it says uh, part crime procedural. That sounds interesting to me in the context of a Star Wars show. So I'm
Mm. You
definitely
love your procedurals.
not all the time. I mean, there's a lot of procedural shows that are terrible, but if here's the thing, like there is a such thing as a winning formula, and if a show
Mm.
finds the winning formula, a procedural is not always a bad thing.
Okay.
But yeah, I get it. A lot of procedurals feel like what they call like a laundry folding show, where you can kind of do something else and just have it on in the background and still kind of get what happened.